What if someone from another race engages you? Maybe the conversation drags on cordially for a while, and eventually the debate erupts into a heated argument. Now you believe this person is anti-white, but he believes you're anti-fill in the race. What happens in this circumstance? And couldn't this be something utilized by outside forces? So let's break this down. To start with, what if someone from another race engages you? It doesn't matter what race a person is, or their sexual orientation, their faith, etc. The only thing that matters is if they're white positive or if they're anti-white. And now, when engaging with folk, we don't wish to, or we don't seek to, or desire to argue with anyone at all. That's not the point. Yet, if it comes to what could be called a heated argument, it could appear in this manner. So, perhaps an anti-white is saying, "Oh no, you're just a racist, you're just anti this race." And then the white positive individual being accused of this is just yelling back at this person, "Nonsense, that's an anti-white meme pathogen and pretext used to try to justify harm against Western kind. You're just proving me correct that you're an anti-white. Why do you hate white people?" And then the anti-white just keeps yelling back. Then it's a stalemate. Fair enough. But if the anti-white at all tries to say, "What? I don't hate white people. What are you talking about?" Then you've won that argument. And you just say, "No, you're an anti-white." And then they can say, "Oh, no, I'm not anti-white, I'm not anti-white." And then you say, "Prove it." And they say, "No, I will this and this and this and this." And they try to justify themselves and make up excuses. And then you say, as a white positive individual in that conversation, "That's not good enough." So, it gives you power in the conversation, and if an individual begins to defend themselves, you've automatically won that argument. Something like anti-white, which actually correctly categorizes their behavior and their attitude, what it is that they are doing, and how their behavior is affecting the world around them. All right, it's a correct analysis of what the thing is. They are anti-white. But to call them that essentially flips the moral table, and instead of you trying to defend yourself against their accusations, they have to explain themselves and defend their own positions, which they never do. Because if they have to, it all falls apart, and we automatically win the argument. Because all they have is slander and calling us racial slurs, anti-white racial slurs, like racist, etc., to try to shut us down. And then they just assert their premises, which lead to their anti-white conclusions. For example, they just state it as a matter of fact that Australia is a diverse nation of multiculturalism. They don't try to prove it. They don't try to back it up with any evidence. They don't try to make any sense of it. They use moral arguments and say it's really nice, but they don't try to prove it in any way, because if they tried to, well then they'd have to show the history of white Australia. So we don't have to put in any effort to prove our stance, so it's about time we start asserting it and making them unravel their delusions and lies. You don't want to get into an argument with anyone. You want to try to bring folk over to being white positive and white well-being. But if an individual wants to argue with you because they are that anti-white, well then just use that argument to expose their anti-whiteism.